We'll go ahead and call the Ellis County Commission meeting to order. We have a special guest this evening that's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Kenley Fonenstill from the Good Hope 4-H Club. You ready? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Donna, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Butch Schleier,
Present.
Chair Dean Hazelhorst,
Present.
Commissioner Dustin Knox.
Present.
Have a quorum present.
Thank you. Any changes to the order of business this evening? Executive sessions?
Mr. Chair, we will need one executive session, about 15 minutes.
Thank you very much. Any other changes, fellow commissioners?
Nope. None for me.
Okay. And we have no minutes to approve. I do need a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through G.
I'll make a motion, we approve consent agenda items A through G.
Second that.
Donna, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Issues from persons not on the order of business this evening. Do we have anyone? Seeing none, any introduction of new employees? I don't believe so. Okay, ready? Okay, sit up here talking to the mic.
County Fairgrounds Storm Cleanup. Fair Board President Jill Fonst.
Thank you.
As most of you know, I'm Jill Fonenstill, Fair Board President. As most of you maybe have seen or heard, the fairgrounds got hit pretty hard by the storm a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw pictures of it floating around on social media. Bill Ring has some pictures as well. But Dean just wanted me to come and give an update. I'll go over kind of some of the things that happened out there. The bleachers down at the rodeo arena, the whole set was picked up by the storm and tossed over top of the rodeo arena and rolled over onto the bucking chutes and the crow's nest. So pretty much the whole rodeo arena is going to need some repair. The bucking chutes, the crow's nest, the bleachers will need replaced. Lots of light poles, pretty much all of them down there where they're snapped off, cracked. For safety, they're all going to probably need to be replaced. The big bleachers at the Speedway shifted, so they're going to need to be moved back. The scale house was totally destroyed, which also contained the RPM's radios and their speaker system. They had a concessions building, which also was destroyed. We've already hauled those off to the landfill, picked up all that trash. Trusses, we have the blue commercial building out there where we store a lot of our equipment. There's like 3 or 4 trusses that were busted off during the storm, and the north end is all shifted. Doors will need replaced. Pretty much all the tin will need to be replaced since you won't find matching color to what was ruined. Poultry barn and beef barn roofs will need to be replaced. There's lots of other minor damages. Shank building does have a few leaks, so we'll probably need to have a roofer come out and check that out to see what needs repaired on there. 2 ice makers. The motherboards got burnt out during the storm from the lightning. So we have quite a bit of damage out there that's going to require lots of time and repair to it. Insurance adjuster's been out. He said that if the damages total $125,000 or more, a special adjuster has to look at everything. So I'm going to assume we're going to be going over that amount just with the bleachers alone. So we started doing some cleanup. The rodeo arena bleachers, we've called someone to see if they'll haul them off, but they have to be cut up or haulable. So it's going to take quite a bit of time to cut those. We did try, and then a storm came and blew them back again where they were. So that's about the update so far. We're just going to start getting estimates. I think Phil will help me if I get him the information. He told me what we need to do for bids and amounts and stuff, like how many we need to get. So I will work with him and we'll start working on that.
Still around 9 power poles, or is it more than that?
I think what the racetrack had at least 3 like 80-foot ones that need replaced, if not more, once they
Probably
get
be fine
checked.
on that by the time we're done.
Yeah, and then the rodeo arena, all of them, I would assume, plus the breaker box, and
Is there like 6 at the rodeo arena?
I think so.
6.
Yeah,
Okay.
and lights. Yeah,
Yeah.
light poles and lights. So yeah, it's a lot of damage out there.
And we found out power poles, you just can't get them from Midwest Energy because they're 80 footers. They have to be special ordered in, and we're talking like next year, for sure in 2020, before we'd even get them.
Hopefully next year before July.
Yeah, I would guess if they get ordered, and Neil maybe knows a little bit on that. It sounded like they're, what, about 4 months out maybe? Mm-hmm. Well, I asked Tom Schmidberger, and he said they no longer deal in them, yet we have to go through the, like Midwest Energy or Western Electric or somebody to get them. He said, because they just use what the utility company furnishes now. He said they don't keep them any in inventory because they're so scattered out. So, but they did say they'd help put them up. Hess Services also said they'd help put them up if we dug the holes, or had Midwest Energy come out and dig the holes. They would set them for us. So we got a few things going there, maybe.
Yeah, I know the Speedway has fall nationals they're hoping to run in October, so I don't know if that's a possibility or not for them, depending
we
probably on
come
the
up
light
with a-
pole situation.
Light poles, I think, will be taken care of. The big thing there is temporary equipment for the scale house to weigh the cars.
Yeah.
And I know Glenn's checking into some temporary equipment, so hopefully, maybe. That's October the 5th or something, isn't it?
Yeah, usually that first weekend in October, so
Mm.
that's their biggest race that they need to hold to help them out through the year.
Yeah,
So
so hopefully,
yeah, cross your fingers.
that's right.
You guys have any questions?
Sounds like you're moving forward. Butch, anything?
No, I don't. Just hang in there.
Try.
Kinley doesn't have any either.
Okay. Can she be dismissed now? She has
Yes,
volleyball practice.
She does. Thank you, Kinley, for helping us this evening.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, county storm damage. Darren Myers. No bill ring this evening.
Good evening, Darren Myers, Director of Fire and Emergency Management. Phil contacted me last week, myself and Bill, about giving the commission an update on where we're at with all the storm damages that we had. I believe the date was August 13th when that storm came through, if I remember right. But after that night, we had several incidents go on, a lot of damages that needed to be assessed and couldn't really know what was going on. The next day, which I believe was your tour that you took out at the Hess Services, afterwards I met with Commissioner Hazelhorse and we signed the disaster declaration, which is good for 7 days or continued if needed for the county to move the next step to report the disaster declaration for the county. Since then, I've been in contact with different department heads reporting in different damages, somewhat like Jill had just given us. To Carrie just now mentioned to us the health department vehicle. We had Midwest Energy, Western Cooperative, a church, the Celebration Community Church. We can somewhat count that into county damages. I don't want to get into the dry stuff, but a lot of different damages. Midwest Energy is the biggest one. They reported initially over $200,000 worth of damage for their utility lines. As you know, the ones that went up right next to where the KHP and the DOT building out there along 230th is crossing the interstate. Those are some of the bigger structures that they lost. And then all the way up 230th, up the northwest business corridor, they replaced a lot more poles. So that was their most significant amount of damage. So however, when you look at that in the grand scale of things, for Ellis County to declare a disaster and then be able to push up into the state level, we have to meet a certain minimum threshold before we can actually be a part of a larger state declaration. Our threshold's only about $104,000, approximately. It goes down to an exact penny, but around $104,000. We can either meet that and apply to the state, or we can meet the state threshold by ourselves and declare a local disaster as then be declared as a state disaster. That state threshold is over $4 million. Unfortunately, with the damages that we had in Ellis County, which is how we can look at it locally, there's not enough counties, or there are no other counties around us that either applied for or cumulatively met that state threshold to be able to be declared a state disaster. So at this point, and as of last Friday in the afternoon, Kansas Division of Emergency Management does not feel that this will be tagged at this point as part of a series of weather events. It doesn't have to be necessarily one day, one specific storm. It can be a series of storms that last over a 2-week period. However, with all the flooding, the winds, the different damages that we've got, we're not 100%, can't 100% say we won't be declared into a state disaster, but KDEM, Kansas Division of Emergency Management, does not feel that we will meet that threshold to move forward with a state declaration. At that point, the state would have to declare it, and then it would be passed up to the president for the president to sign a state and federal disaster for funding. So unfortunately, we're kind of on our own on this. The other part of that too, when we look at it, if Ellis County has a certain amount of damages, if a church has a certain amount of damage, we can't combine all that money as part of our total threshold or our total limit. We can only report what our insurance deductibles are. So just because we have called $100,000 at the fairgrounds, we have a $10,000 deductible on a building, we can only report $10,000. Or if a building is non-insurable or uninsured, then we can account for the whole building. It's the same thing for Celebration Community Church. They probably have hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not up to $1 million, but I was reported that the building is insured, and so we would only be able to accumulate part of their damages as what is uninsured or their deductible. So on top of that, like I said, Midwest Energy, Fort Hays State, their Acres Energy Center received some damage on one of their walls blew in their window, damaged some of their switching equipment. 489 had some damages to the schools. Most of there was just man hours reported. Not a whole lot of structure, but they did have some broken windows and such. Western Cooperative reported we were keeping some individual amounts from the county as part of ours. The last I knew, the city had transported 309 truckloads of debris out to the landfill. That can get counted for the amount of truckloads, the man hours, and the trucks themselves on a FEMA scale. So all that combined is kind of where we're at with the storm damages and not being able to proceed to any type of larger scale disaster declaration. And not Phil, but Bill, with his crew out there, they keep track of every man hour. They put somebody on a grader or a dump truck, every truckload of rock, sand, whatever they need to take out. Once they know that we're looking at a disaster, they log all that into the computer differently, so that way they can track every single dump, every single truckload, man hour, grader hour, and such. With that, I guess I'll ask if there's any questions.
I have none. You guys all did a great job keeping the county cleaned up and opened up and moving, and you guys did a great job along with Midwest Energy. I know they worked day and night, and Power Electric helped them out too, I believe, and they keep the lights on for us, so thank you to all of them.
Yeah, they did a great job. I know there's some customers that didn't get their power on right away, but I've heard nothing good about Midwest Energy over these recent storms. People did lose power, but as long as we preach out to the community that there are others in times of needs that have to get their power restored first but it will get done eventually. But I've heard nothing but good.
Oh, yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah, this type of thing is a perfect example of why we have to have our finances in order. Have these small-scale disasters that cause a lot of problems. We need to be able to cover them if they don't become, greater declarations of disasters from the state or federal level. So, thanks for all the work you do.
Butch?
I have no questions, Darren.
Thank you, Darren. Your next item, personal protective gear grant.
Several months ago, the annual Kansas Forestry grant came out. I applied for it once again. It's a 50-50 cost match grant. And I'd submitted it for, there's certain things you can submit it for, and mainly it's for volunteer departments throughout the state. As for the last couple years, I've submitted it for protective gear for the firefighters. So that way they can have gear that's actually designed for wildland and rescue type incidents where they're not carrying around the big bulky structural fire gear. They did award us that grant again in the amount of, well, the total project cost is $6,225. They'll reimburse up to 50% of that, which is $3,112.50. So the cost to the county is that additional other $3,510.50. It's a little bit more than the cost share just because when a complete set to match their fully, they won't cover anything above that $31,1250. But I would just ask for the commission to take acceptance of that grant so we can move forward and get that gear ordered.
So moved, I believe.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah.
Yep.
As far as I know, that's all I got.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
We'll move on to restructure the appraiser one job description. Lisa Ree?
Good evening, Lisa Ree, County Appraiser. This evening I'm asking for approval from the Commission to split what originally was Appraiser 1 job description into two different levels, Appraiser 1 field and Appraisal 1 office. And mainly that is so we can save some money for the county. When the Appraiser 1 job description was created, it included office duties and outside work for data collection duties. And for some reason, data collectors and appraisers, when they are classified for workman's compensation, have the highest rate applied of any other position within the county except for emergency management and public works director. When I started visiting with K-Work, the reasoning I was basically told was, we are not specially trained such as a volunteer fireman or as a sheriff's deputy. We may be bitten by a dog, is what the answer was. So I didn't get anywhere with K-Work because they have to follow their guidelines. And so the next best option was to split out the Appraiser 1 job description so we have only office duties and then data collection and office duties separately. And as I listed in the agenda, according to how things were budgeted for 2020, we would save significant amount for just that 1 year, and that would be moving forward every year. So,
Great work. Thank you very much.
any questions?
I have none.
No, this seems like a great find. I'm glad you had that discussion with K-Works.
Just to give you a little note for the 2020 budget, our ranking for the appraisers is a rate of 0.0639. An office person is 0.0012.
Oh, wow.
Police officers, 0.0172. So,
Those
I don't know
appraisers
what-
must be wild
I
cards
know,
out in
we
the field.
must be crazy.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know, those barbed wire fences bite, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Liars.
Yeah.
Step ladder crawl over you,
Any questions?
I have none. Need a motion to approve.
I move that the commission adopt the new job descriptions, title, and pay grade as presented for Appraiser 1 field and Appraiser 1 office, and to delete the Appraiser 1 job description effective September 8th, 2019.
I'll second that motion.
Donna, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0, Donna.
Okay,
Thank you,
Thanks,
Lisa.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, County Administrator Report, Philip Smith Haynes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no report at this time.
We'll move on to County Commission reports. Butch,
I have no report.
County Commissioner Dustin.
No report from me.
I better say something, huh? In case anyone has forgotten, meeting on 9/11, Northwest Kansas Highway Officials Meeting. I believe we're gonna have a great attendance. I'm very excited. Donette out at Public Works has done a tremendous job, along with all of her little helpers out there. I think Megan's been helping her, and Bill and Kurt, and I've been helping her, and it's been a great deal, and I think we're gonna have a great turnout, and I believe we're up to 22 vendors as of this afternoon. So in the past, we've had 4, so I guess we've increased it by a little bit. We should have about 12 pieces of equipment on display. In the past, we've had 2, so I'm looking forward to it. Got a lot of inside booths we're gonna have also, so I think it's gonna be a very nice meeting put on by Ellis County, so.
What time does that start on the 11th?
I gotta look at the agenda, but I believe it is, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's 8:30, I believe.
Might be able to be there for a little while, but I'll have to leave for Leadership Kansas that day, so.
Yep, no, that'll be fine. But I believe it starts at 8:30. We're gonna start setting up on Tuesday afternoon. A lot of the equipment will be coming in and vendors setting up booths. And then registration does start at 7:30 that morning, and the vendor displays open up at 8 o'clock, and I think our meeting starts at 8:30. So we're gonna have a great meal for lunch. So if you can be there, I guess you won't be able to, but Butch and myself are gonna share yours, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing
Oh, yeah.
golf.
Well, Phil will be there too, so we'll share with Phil, so.
Okay.
But Jeanette Fonnett still from Munger, and Helen Worth are catering a meal for us, so it'll be very well put together, so we're looking forward to it.
Let me know if I can be any help night before, in
I'll
the
let you know on
morning or-
Tuesday if we need anything, maybe setting up tables and chairs possibly.
Very good.
I know Bill is bringing out some of the Public Works guys to help too, so I will let you guys know. And that is all I have. Executive session next.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion for an executive session for attorney-client privilege to discuss pending litigation. Session should be for 15 minutes and will include the Board of Commissioners, Appraiser Lisa Ree, County Attorney Tom Drees, and Administrator Phil Smith Haynes.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second, Donna. No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. We'll return back in 15 minutes. No action. And we will adjourn at 5:37. Thank you.
I guess we get a nice leisurely breakfast tomorrow.